Wow, what an incredible Monday it was. Hopefully this is the way the rest of the week's going to shape out for all of us option traders. This is Jeff Kohler, aka the Option Addict from optionaddict.blogspot.com, and I'm here to deliver my weekly watch list of chart patterns, some things that I'm watching for potential trade setups. Let's go ahead and get started. Now you notice that I'm looking at the chart of First Solar at the moment. No chart patterns here. I just want to sit here and reflect on a 24% movement in the underlying. Like I said, Monday was a great day. Anyway, let's get right down to business. I'm going to start off with AMSG, and that's Samsung Corporation. And what I'm looking at here is a nice tight symmetrical triangle that's formed over the last 3 months plus. And it's a $25 stock. So out of this, I'm expecting only about a 2 to 2.5 point movement. And that's 10% of the stock value. So I'm not expecting anything of abnormal volatility here. If we look at the 5-year chart, you can see the one thing that would be concerning here is trend, and I'm not expecting a change of trend here really. I'm just looking for a pop in the stock, hopefully to take it up to some of its recent highs, or at least some of its 5-year highs at least. Next, I'm going to look at ETN, and you'll notice a couple of these are duplicates from last week, but I also wanted to pinpoint those that we were watching that are starting to signal. And Eaton Corporation, you can see, was up about 2% today, on some better than average volume, breaking out of that nice ascending triangle that we were watching. Next on the list is GIVN, and I'm kind of sideways on this one. I'm not quite sure about this. And the reason was this is a great breakout here at about 27.5, albeit it broke out in a fast and furious manner. And now it's starting to consolidate a little bit to the downside. And of course, this may look like a flag pattern that's starting to form here. The thing is I don't know if this is making up too big of a price movement. You'll see that this measures from 27.5 to about 31, maybe 32, give or take, which leaves the stock with about a $4 price target, which for a $20 stock is huge. Not saying it can't happen, but if you're going to trade this, I'd probably trade it small. Be careful. You'll notice also that implied volatility is getting near some 52-week highs, so the options are somewhat expensive. Might be something you might consider from a selling strategy. Anyway, check out GIVN for a potential flag setup. Next on the list, I've got MLHR, Herman Miller Incorporated, and looking at this recent breakdown as kind of a bear flag. And you'll see this nice rise upward recently being the consolidation that we're looking for in the bear flag. And I'm waiting for this thing to spike back downward or break through support to make what should be about a 3-point move. Again, $30 stock. Next, I've got WTW. And look at this guy's kind of a symmetrical triangle, an ascending triangle, whatever you want to call it here. In any event, it's triangulating. And this shouldn't be all that big of a movement when it breaks. I mean, if you look at this here, we're measuring from about, close to 49 to as high as 52.50. So about a 3.5 point movement, which should take the stock right up to 52-week highs. And something I'm watching. I like the stock. I think it has a pretty good chance of rebounding higher, but it's definitely got some resistance at 52 to watch out for. Also, CTSH. Now, I kicked myself for not talking about this last week, but I sat here and I looked at the stock just not wanting to go below 75. And in fact, if you look in my office, I have the symbol CTSH drawn a whole lot bigger than the rest of the watch list stocks. I wanted to do an actual post dedicated solely to it. And here the stock's starting to rally up right to about $80 per share, which is where some highs have accumulated, which should confirm a triple bottom in this stock, which ought to give it at least about a 5-point movement to the upside. Short-term target price, 85 for this stock over about the next 6 to 8 weeks. Next, I've got Parker Hannifin, ticker symbol PH. And look at this one here. Got a little symmetrical triangle going on here. Not a lot of volume yet. Volume you can see is still kind of leveling off, which is good for a triangle. We want to see that happen. But no buy signal as of yet, at least not according to the volume. Next I've got APH, and this was maybe 3 weeks ago or so. The stock just keeps plugging away, and I'm waiting for it to take down that resistance at about 36.5, and looking for about a 2.5 point to 3 point movement on this stock when it's all said and done. Also, I've got AYI, and that was a last week candidate. You can see it broke out today. Decent volume spike given that it's summer. But looking at this here, it should begin to seek out its price target. And on this one, we had about a $5 movement, so we're looking at about $66, $67 per share. Next I've got FNSR. And take a look at this guy. So you've got some resistance right around here. This is going to be the penny stock, the cheap stock price pattern of the week. We're going to see how it works out. You know, again, it's a cheap stock, so it's almost like an option itself. But I like chart patterns in some of these cheap stocks. You know, they're speculative plays. They're kind of like, I don't know, they give me a little bit of a rush. So I like FNSR. We'll see what happens. Next I've got PWR. I think this has been a duplicate from a little while back, but you've got some resistance in the area of 31. You've got some support climbing and waiting for a breakout in this as volume continues to consolidate. Look for a good price movement above resistance with some volume to take down this trade. And again, the price target's going to be about 2.5 to 3 points. Next I've got Iris. And we got a bull flag going on in this stock here. And if I get this drawn right, we might consolidate still for a little while. It's a cheap stock, but I like the fact that it's moved up 2 points. Sitting at 16, that would give me a price target of about 18.5 or so, depending on where it breaks out. So that's a great price target for a cheap stock. Next I've got IDXX, IDEX Laboratories. Same thing, spike up, and it's just starting to consolidate here at about 95. I like these stocks that are close to the $100 mark, and if you look, 52-week highs right there at about 95. If I zoom out on the 5-year, this could be a nice little cup and handle, or at least a cup formation, a rounding formation. And hopefully this thing gets above 100. Let's go next to KEYS, Keystone. There's the ascending triangle right there. You got some resistance overhead to battle with. But if you look at this stock, about a 3-point movement, so not too bad. Waiting for the breakout. Next, I don't know what you can do with this one now, but the stock's risen back up quite a bit today. And this is one of those stocks that really pissed me off today. Target price was $40.50, and if you look at the low, $40.79. So, you know, looking back at that, it opened up quite a bit lower, right at my price target. And look at that, only after 3-4 days worth of movement, the stock opens up 20 cents away from my price target. And then it rallies all the way right back up to what, 42.26? Unbelievable. Anyways, that was one of last week's picks. If it gets closer to resistance, maybe you take the retest. A couple others. CASY. I'm going to call this some more triangulation going on here. Expect a 2-point move once you see a breakout. And this one could go in either direction, so wait for it. Finally, McKesson. Take a look at this head and shoulders that could be forming here. I like it a lot. Wait for it to break down below 58. Look for some volume there. Volume's starting to increase here a little bit as the stock is starting to turn downward. So there's a shift in volume here. I like to see that. Volume's been a little bit heavier on this downward push. So wait for the breakout. And when that happens, we're looking at about a 5-point movement, which would put the stock at about 53, right in this general vicinity right there. So those are my chart patterns for this week. A couple things that are repeats, but that are signaling, a couple new additions. I'm going to call them as I see them, so as I find new chart patterns and whatnot, I'll post those as individual entries on the blog. Hopefully you guys are doing well in your trading. I hope it was a great Monday for all of you as well. If you guys have any questions, you know where to find me, optionaddict.blogspot.com. Take care. Have a good one.